So the first thing I'm going to do is explain letters and sounds. That's the framework we teach to. I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to model how we would teach a phonics session in class. So letters and sounds is the framework from the government. Phase 1 is all about listening, games, getting the children to listen and respond. Phase 2 introduces letter sounds. So I'm going to read them out to you so you can hear how short the sounds are. When I say s, I'm not saying s, I'm saying s. That's important for when we're segmenting and blending sounds together or breaking them down to make words. Okay, so we've got s, a, t, p, I, n, m, d, g, o, k, 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 e, a, r, b, f, f, o, s. Okay, so the children need to be able to recognize these, and these are the strongest sounds. So that's why we start with s, a, t, p, I, n, m, d. We can start to build words when we know those sounds. They'll blend the words, blend the sounds. So you take the sound I, n, and you blend them together, I, n, I, n, I, n, to make the word in, or you segment them. I say in, you say I, n. Segmenting is for spelling, for writing. Okay, so you're either going to blend them together so you can read a word, or you're going to split that word up into its sounds so you know what letters to write. Phase 3 moves on to other sounds. So we've got j, v, w, x, y, z, z, qu. Then we move on to digraphs. Digraphs are two letters that make one sound. The children learn that term digraphs. They know it's two letters that make one sound, like ch, sh, f, or v, n. Then we move on to digraphs with vowels and trigraphs. Trigraphs, as you can imagine, are three letters that make one sound. Okay, so we've got A, E, I, O, U, or R, or, ow, oi, ear, your, Okay, so the children need to learn all of those letter sounds by the end of year R. As well as that, there are tricky words that they'll be learning. He, she, we, me, be, was, my, you, her, they, are, all. These are words that they cannot sound out. You can't say and blend them together to make the word he. It just doesn't work. So they need to be able to recognize those words as they are. Okay, that's why you're starting to get flashcards in your sound tins. So they begin to recognize those words. Okay, so let's imagine now that the class is in front of me. They're sitting on the carpet. I've got my slides ready to teach too. I would say to the children, today we're going to learn about the letter G. It makes the sound G. Now, there's an action that goes with it, so we pretend that there's water gurgling down the plug hole and we say G, 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 G. Then we would practice writing it. So I will choose a different colour and I would model that we're going to always start on the line. We're going to go up to the top and stop, back round, up, down, do the tail and flick. And we would do lots and lots of practice with that, writing in the air, writing on whiteboards, writing with our finger on the carpet, and just going over that formation and again and again. So starting on the red dot on the line, up to the top and stop, back round, up and down, do the tail and the flick. Okay, so they're really practicing that formation, and just because we've practiced it once together doesn't mean to say they'll remember it. When you're practicing at home, you need to supervise them so that they are following the right formation, so that they go the right way round, because they might not, and they need lots and lots of practice, lots of encouragement. Okay, we then might take the opportunity to watch Geraldine the giraffe. If you haven't met Mr. Thorne Does Phonics, I really recommend him. We won't watch the whole thing.
Hola, Geraldine. Nice to see you again, once more. For today's lesson, Geraldine, I'm going to teach you about the G letter shape that makes the G sound. G, G, G. And there it is to your side. Okay? The G sound can be found in many, many words. Can you have a look around the house to see what starts with the letter sound G? So on she went to read this.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. And let's go back to our board. But we would watch that together and we would talk about it. It might be that I take my G tub. The only time we'll say the letter G is when we introduce it. We're going to really emphasize that sound of G, because otherwise the children just find it confusing. So in our pot, we've got gorilla, goat, can you see that? A game. Okay, so on the next slide, we would move on to this and we would talk to the children, practice writing it again, and we would talk to the children about all the different things we can see on the board that begin with G. Now, I know that the G sound could be at the beginning or the middle or the end of the word, but we're really emphasizing those beginning sounds at first. Okay, so we've got gate, goat, gorilla, grapes, green, gloves, guitar, glue, ghost, grapefruit, goofy, glass, goal, grasshopper, guinea pig, glasses, grass, girl, goose. Really emphasizing that G sound. It's likely at the end of that session the children would then go and practice writing G with an adult, and I'll come to that, talk a little bit more about that when I do the writing part of this webinar. Okay, so focusing still on phonics, we would then look at using our sounds to blend them together to make words. Here you'll see what we call sound buttons. The sound button just tells the children that's one sound. So if we're going to take this first word, p, at, we're going to blend those sounds together. That means we're going to say them faster and faster so they blend to make the word pat, pat, pat. And then we would match pat with the picture of the man patting the dog. Okay, so if I take this word now, at, mat, mat, I would match that. We'll look at this one together. P, ig. Blend it together, say the sounds quickly. Pig, 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 pig. And we're going to be matching those words with the pictures on our board. T, in, tin, 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 tin. And we're going to be matching, looking at those sound buttons. P, in, pin. Okay. So you can see what we're doing here. We're just blending the sounds together out loud to make the word. It needs some practicing, and we would do that daily. You can start to do it at home. If you get your sounds from your sound tin, you could start to put letters that they already know, like a, t, together, blend them, at, blend them together to make a word, and they're starting to practice reading. Now, their reading books at the moment don't have words in because their phonics isn't ready for it. They can't sound out yet. And if they had books with words in them at the moment, you would end up reading the book to them. They would love the experience, they would enjoy that, but they won't actually be doing the reading. So at the moment, their books have pictures for you to talk about. I'll talk about that more later in the webinar. So we're just blending, okay? Tap, 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 tap. And then we're matching the word tap to the picture. It's got a bit congested here. Let's just move the, there you go, that's a bit better. You can see we're matching the picture and the word. So that's blending. Then we'll start to practice reading. We've got a caption or we've got a short sentence. Now, we wouldn't do this all in one session. It might be that we have a phonics session where we're introducing the sound and that's all we do that day. And then the next day we might recap the sounds we know and then do one of these activities. Okay, so this is an activity where we want the children to use their sounds, blend them together to use the word, read the words, and we'll model that with them. And then we're going to match this caption with whichever picture goes with it. Now, pictures in picture books and reading books are there for a reason. They're there to prompt the reading. So it's not cheating to learn how to read the picture. The pictures are there for a reason. They're helping us. So we teach the children that when we've got a on its own as a word, we say a. A, pig, pig, pig. A pig is, a pig is sad, 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 sad. Which picture goes with my caption, a pig is sad? Well, it's this one. Another thing that we will start to practice, phoneme just means sound, okay? We will start to practice this with the children where we're taking phonemes, sounds. There's the sound button, it tells us that's just got one sound. And we're going to build a word, okay? So we've got pat, 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 pat. That's our blending. If we wanted to segment it for writing, if you remember, segment begins with same as spelling, and if we're writing, we want to know how to spell the word. If we want to write the word pat, we would say, okay, children, I say the word pat, you say pat, pat. Right, now I need pat to write the word pat. That's how I've segmented it. I've split it up into the 3 letters that I need to spell the word pat. So you can practice blending words together, making them and blending them to read them, or you could say, okay, I say the word pat, I say pat, you say pat, so that they're listening for the sounds and figuring out what sound they need to write to spell the word. Initially, generally, the children hear the beginning sound first. Not always. Sometimes the children hear the end sound first. The middle sound is the hardest one to pick out. So if your child is beginning to write words and they're writing the p for pat, that's okay. As they develop, they might end up writing the p and the t for pat. And in time, they'll hear that middle sound as well. That takes a lot of practice, so don't worry if they're not doing that initially. It's fine. Okay, you can have some fun making different words together. They don't always have to be real. So you can make strings of words. Okay, so this time we've got pam. Be careful though, read ahead, because you've got to look to see what the sounds are going to be. There are some combinations you won't want to be blending together to make a word. Okay, so just a word of warning there. Read ahead. Okay, some of the words you can't sound out, you've just got to learn them. So here we have the word the. You can't say the, and end up with the. Similarly, you can't sound out t, oh, and end up with to. You've just got to learn to recognize those. You're starting to get flashcards in your sound tins. So practice those. You could spot them around a house. You could spot them in your favorite storybooks. You could hide the flashcards, maybe on the fridge or, I don't know, in the lounge, like a hide and seek game. And then the children have to go and find the or to. Or you could have them on your carpet and say, how quickly can you find to? How quickly can you find the? And then swap over. So you're doing the finding, you're doing the reading. They're telling you to go and find the word. 10 minutes a day on one of these things will make a big difference to your child. So that's tricky words. Okay, and I'm going to stop there for some questions and answers, and then I'll talk some more about writing.